Wednesday evening, everyone. You are watching Direct Line without Mark Unkelfer and Jackie Saxton. This is the show where the back-end board operators get to take over the show. My co-host this evening is Jeff Thornton. He did the board just a few weeks ago, and Audrey Scott was the guest. And I do the board pretty much every. And it is our extreme pleasure to have the mayor of Frostburg, Maryland, Todd Logsdon. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. This is the second time in like 2 months I've been on here. It's great. Thank you for having me.
Hey, you gotta, we have to have you back on. We love to have our candidates that win elections back on. Or if it's Montgomery County, the candidates that run all the time. But so how's it feel to be mayor? I mean, you've been mayor now for a couple of months, about a month now.
I was sworn in on July the 8th, so I've been mayor for about maybe about 2.5 weeks. And it's going great so far. I mean, it's been a huge learning curve. I have definitely put in a lot of hours, not just sitting at my desk at City Hall, but I've been getting out there to all the city departments. I did a ride around with the police chief last week one day. I've been to the water department, the street department, just kind of really getting to know all of our employees and what they do that makes municipal government function. So it's been a lot of work, but it's been really rewarding.
So are you getting ready to go to Mako?
Yes. So Mako starts on August the 14th. Yeah, I am planning to be there.
Mako's a lot of fun. You'll enjoy it. I'm assuming you've probably gone in the past.
I don't think so.
Oh,
I've never really had a reason to go in the past.
Okay. For some reason, I thought you were like when the county council, your county council at one point.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But you'll enjoy it. It's in Ocean City, the happiest place in Maryland.
Your favorite place?
Yes, my favorite place too. I mean, what other town in Maryland do we have where the population goes up by 200,000 for 9 months out of the year? Then it drops down to like 34,000. But I mean, Frostburg's a beautiful town. I'll confess, the first time driving through Frostburg in Western Maryland, first time in my life was in 2006. I was going to Morgantown to a friend of mine that passed away, to his funeral. And I just had to stop off and take pictures all through those little towns and hamlets, off of Interstate 68. I'll tell you, the best view I know, Cumberland, Maryland. That is the view. Right as you're approaching, there's a Citgo gas station. It's a very iconic Western Maryland feel. I know.
That is a good view. That is a good view from the freeway there, where you're able to see sort of across the old church steeples and the courthouse steeple that's on the older side of town, and the kind of hills in the background. That is a good view. Yeah, I agree with that.
And I went back actually a few months later, took pictures of the historic train station, the C&O Canal. I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, that is not that's in your county, right? That's your rival. It's a rival city for you, right?
Cumberland is in Allegheny County, yes. So Frostburg and Cumberland are both in Allegheny County. Cumberland has about twice the population, maybe 2.25. Population of Frostburg is about 7,000. Whenever the university's in session, it's about 11,500. Cumberland averages about just under 20,000.
Yeah. And it's so yeah. So
so let me share too that I went to college in West Virginia, so I would be passing through the I-68 corridor like every holiday and such, and I have to do with Dwight that just going across I-68 and seeing Frostburg has a beautiful skyline. I myself stopped as well to take pictures. It's just a beautiful scenic part of Maryland. I love the Panhandle and all the mountains there. Love West Virginia, the mountains there too, but you get a good taste of it in Maryland. So it's just a beautiful area.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to grow up and raise a family, and I'm extremely thankful that I get to call it my home.
Yeah, you were born and raised Frostburg, right?
Sure was. Yep.
Yeah. So did you go to that high school that banned dancing?
No,
high school. Now, back in the, I want to say around 2002, Jake Shade went to that school, actually.
Oh, that's Allegheny. No, that's just a rumor. That didn't actually happen.
No, it was in the news. It was like the Washington Post did a story about it.
No, Jake grew up in Cumberland, so he grew up in the others in Cumberland. LaVale, really, sort of an outsetting of it. But I remember what you're talking about, though. Now, Jake's a little younger than I am. I think that was a story that one of those that had a grain of truth, but was kind of told from an
Well,
angle
it's like yeah,
completely true.
it's kind of like our high school. It's kind of like our high school in the Blair Witch Project movie. I thought they were talking about a teacher Jeff and I both had at Blair High School, Miss Diaz.
Well, that's not nice, right? All our teachers were great teachers, especially Mr. Bundy.
I actually did appreciate her as a teacher, but when that came, I'm like, they made a movie about her.
Not about the Blazers, nope.
No, but there is a mention of Blair High School actually in that movie in the very beginning. But anyways, we're not talking about movies. Other than turns into a Dr. Politics episode. Tell us I mean, as mayor, you're also like the ambassador of Frostburg.
Sure.
Why should Marylanders go visit Frostburg this summer?
So Frostburg is an awesome place to visit, not just in the summer, but really all throughout the year. There's tons of stuff that goes on in Frostburg that we embrace as sort of tradition or things that we've always done, but we also embrace as sort of things that make us unique. Things that I can think of right off the top of my head are the Western Maryland Scenic Railroad. So we talk about the scenic views and things that you get to see. So the Scenic Railroad is an awesome attraction that brings a lot of people here. That's actually sort of connected to another one called the Gap Trail. So the Great Allegheny Passage. I'll tangentially brag on Cumberland a little bit, and I'm sure Ray Morris, who is the mayor of Cumberland, will appreciate this. That city serves as the nexus or the connecting point between the C&O Canal towpath, which obviously runs from Georgetown all the way up to Cumberland, and then in Cumberland is the one terminus of the Gap Trail, the Great Allegheny Passage, which goes all the way to Pittsburgh. So you could travel on foot. A lot of people do it on bikes. It's a big thing for bikers from DC all the way to Pittsburgh. People make a weekend out of that, or a week, or I guess it depends on how fast you ride a bike. Or
yeah,
if you're like me, you get in vapor lock and you ride for a mile and then just hitch a ride the rest of the way. But so the Gap Trail and the Scenic Railroad both come right through Frostburg. We have our old train depot, which was built in 1891, serves as one of the stops along the Gap Trail, and serves as the western terminus of the railroad. So they operate all kinds of excursions year round. They offer live music in the summer on the train. They offer fall foliage tour, leaf peeping stuff in the fall. They've got murder mystery stuff like Halloween murder mystery. They do a great event around Christmas time called the Polar Express, just like the movie. We have a great old steam locomotive, engine 1309, that they hook up, and it's a children's event. They pay money and they basically reenact what happens on the Polar Express. So it's a great thing for kids for that. If you're outdoorsy, if you like, physical exercise and getting outdoors, it's a great place to do that. Of course, we're the proud home of Frostburg State University, home of the Bobcats. So whenever the university's in session, we've got tons of stuff going on. They've got, I don't know how many, 15 or more varsity sports that we certainly support. They've recently moved up to Division II for athletics, so they're getting a little more competitive in the athletics that they do there. So we're the proud home of the Bobcats. We certainly support everything that they do. And also, sort of from a non-athletic perspective, Frostburg State University's history as an institution goes back to they were founded. Mark wants to know, should you call Your Honor or Your Excellency? I'm going to leave that up to you, Mark. It can be, Your Lordship or Sir or, your dealer's choice.
I did not realize mayors had other titles than Mr. Mayor.
I didn't either. Apparently, Mark, as usual, is the smartest man in the room. He knows a lot more.
Yes, he is. And then he's in Cape May.
So Frostburg State's history as an institution goes back to 1898 when the General Assembly appropriated. It's a really unique story about the town and the university being able to come together. So the story goes that in 1898, the General Assembly made an appropriation of, I don't know how much money, to build what they called a normal school, which is an old-fashioned word for a teacher's college in Western Maryland. And the fight was between Cumberland, obviously, was a huge city at that time. That's where it gets its nickname, the Queen City. It was a huge, booming town at that time. And Frostburg was doing well, but not to the degree that Cumberland is. And the governor of Maryland at that time was Lloyd Lowndes, who was from Western Maryland. He was actually born in Frostburg, but he lived his adult life in Cumberland, and he made his way into politics, and he was elected governor in 1898. So the fight was, where are we going to put it? Where are we going to put it? Cumberland seemed like the obvious location because it's the big city. It's the transportation hub or whatever. But when they made the appropriation for the land, for the institution, they did not make an appropriation for the land. So wherever it was going to be, the state was not going to pay for the land. So Frostburg has a history as a mining town. That was our big claim to fame. We're built on the backs of coal miners. So the miners that lived and worked in the town at the time had basically a fund drive, and they donated nickels and dimes to buy a city park that was located in Frostburg called Bell's Park. And they donated that land to the state in order to build the school there, to guarantee that it was going to be built there. So from day one, the people in the town and the town itself have been supportive of everything that Frostburg State does. So it's a teacher's college, back to what I was saying. And it still is today. That's their bread and butter. That's what I went to school for. I mean, I have 2 degrees from Frostburg State right there, 1, 2. And one of them's in education, so I'm a teacher. And because of that, we're fortunate that they provide a lot of events for our public schools in Frostburg and the surrounding area, but also for kids generally. So we have an event at Christmas time they call Storybook Holiday. They take over the whole town and they turn it into, Santa's Village. We have a workshop here and the Elf Olympic Games and parades and all kinds of stuff. They have a really cool event. They just had my first event that I got to preside over as mayor of the town. So I was sworn in on July the 8th, and on July the 10th, I got to participate in my first official event as the sort of head of state called Pirates Ahoy. Big event that's put on by, again, Frostburg State, the Literature Center, Children's Center there, where they turn the town into basically a pirate ship, and the kids get to dress up and they go into all the businesses and they give them a clue to something that's on a treasure map. And at the end of the day, they, made it to all the businesses in town and they win a prize. It's a really awesome thing.
And you've got a lot of famous Republicans that have come out from your neck of the woods. I know you mentioned Bell, the Bell family. Senator Bell, next to last Republican senator from the state of Maryland. He hails from Frostburg, Maryland, J. Glenn Bell.
So there were actually 2 senators Bell. So there's J. Glenn Bell that served 1 term in the Senate in the 1970s. He was from Western Maryland, born in Frostburg, but I think lived his adult life in Cumberland also. His father was also named John Bell, or one of them was John Glenn Bell and one of them was James Glenn Bell. I'm not sure which was which. But his father was also a U.S. senator back in the late 40s, both from Frostburg. So, great legacy to build on. And
and Mac Mathias he was from Frederick, but that's still Western Maryland. Mac Mathias was also from Western Maryland.
Yes, he's from Frederick. We may have to respectfully disagree on whether Frederick counts as Western Maryland. But
it depends. I think after you leave past the city of Frederick, like Burkittsville, Brunswick, you got to think of along the railroads.
Yeah, once you get out of the city, I'll say that. Once you get out of the city, you get to Walkersville maybe.
But it's Montgomery County North. The city, that's all Urbana and all that's just Montgomery County North. So tell us, what are some of the nice hot night spots in Frostburg if you come on out and you're in Frostburg, Maryland? What other things what are some great food places and watering holes?
So there's tons of great places to go. I know that if there's one thing that Dwight Patel loves to talk about more than Ocean City, it's where to get a good slice of pizza. That's a fact. That's a well-known fact within the Maryland GOP. So there are a number of great places to hang out. I don't know how I should approach this. There's 3 places that come to mind as good pizza places, and they're each good in their own respect. Okay. They're good for different reasons, I think. So probably one of my favorite places to order from is a place called Gianni's Pizza. Now it's strictly just takeout. I mean, you call an order and you either take out or get delivered. But it's great. It's great. Standard old New York style pizza. You pick it up and fold it in half, and it's got 8 pounds of cheese on it, and it's like it's awesome. I mean, it's like they put it in 2 boxes because that's how greasy it is. It's fantastic. Oh my god. Another great place to get pizza or Italian generally. There's a place called Mario's Italian Eatery. Super casual. I mean, it's not fancy in any way. The guy that
it's dine in though, right?
What's that?
That's a dine in place.
It is dine in. The guy, and it's a family style restaurant. Like they don't serve alcohol or anything there, but it's a great place. The guy that owns the restaurant's name is Benito Reyes. He is, and I'll give a shout out to this. And if he sees it, that he'll appreciate it. Benito is the model of what you expect a community citizen to be. He goes out of his way to sponsor little league teams, to cater. He catered our city employee picnic that we had a couple of weeks last Friday. The city, we had just a summer picnic for our city employees. It's kind of a thank you for the work they do. He catered it for free. He's a great community servant, so we really like to support him. Probably one of my favorite places to go and hang out is a place called LG's Pizzeria. It stands for Larry Guthrie. That's the owner, and it's what you think of as not a college bar, but like a bar restaurant that you would find in a college town. Right?
That's your saying
everywhere, super casual, good food, their own, special flavors of wings, awesome pizza, tons of beers on tap. Like there's tons of great places. There's more I could have mentioned. I mean, if you're looking for something fancier, we've got a place called the Toasted Goat, which is sort of the in-house restaurant in the Hotel Gunter, the big fancy hotel that's in the middle of town. It's more of an upscale place, sort of micro brew thing. They make some of their own beer and wine there. It's pretty good. There's an awesome steakhouse called Sand Springs Saloon. Parking lot's always full. Like it's a great place. Really historic old ice cream stand at the west end of town called the Frostburg.
I do like ice cream.
Do I like ice cream? Oh my gosh! Does a bear shit in the woods, Dwight?
I do. No, I'm saying I enjoy ice cream.
Oh, you do?
Okay. Yes, ice cream is I would say that is the best dessert. It's like many times we have these, as you know, we do these red, white, and blue dinners, Lincoln Reagan dinners. Why don't we ever have ice cream as a dessert, or baked Alaska, which is basically ice cream? It's always cheesecake.
Yeah. And people ask all the time, what's my favorite kind of ice cream? And nobody believes me whenever I tell them I'm not picky at all.
Really?
You put it in front of me, I'll eat it. You put mint chocolate chip in front of me, I'll eat it. That's fine. You put rum raisin in front of me, I'll eat it. I am not picky. I love it.
See, I draw the line at rum raisin and chocolate.
No, you're not doing it right.
Like I draw the line at chocolate too. I'm not a fan of chocolate ice cream.
I would never order chocolate ice cream, but if you put it in front of me, I would eat it. I wouldn't send it back.
So here's the question. If you had a Napoleon ice cream, vanilla, strawberry, chocolate, which would you start with?
I would start with the chocolate to get rid of it because, like I said, I'm not a huge chocolate fan. And then I would just work my way down. I like the vanilla. I like the strawberry. But you like to save whichever's your favorite, you like to save that for last. So I would definitely start with chocolate and then just work my way down.
And also, being where you guys are in Frostburg, a lot of dairy farms out there, and you're part of your neck of the woods, I believe. So you probably have a lot of mom and pop creameries that probably have some of the best ice cream in the state. Like,
there's a few. There's none that I can really think of offhand that are in Frostburg, but we have a few dairy places. Most of the farms in Allegheny County are located in the eastern end of the county, sort of between Cumberland and Hancock. In that area, there's a couple of little towns. There's one called Flintstone. There's a town called
where Rocky Gap is.
Yeah, where Rocky Gap was. Yeah, that where it is. Places like that. Of course, in Garrett County, there's a lot of stuff too. But yeah, tons of. I mean, if you're looking for fresh anything, fresh produce, fresh meat, fresh dairy, whatever, you can find it here. And I mean, especially like I said, Garrett County's right there. We're super close to Pennsylvania, Somerset County, Pennsylvania. Of course, they have a pretty substantial Amish population in Somerset County, so you can find a lot of stuff there. I mean, it's 15-minute drive from here. It's not that bad.
So I think you're saying that all of us folks who live in around the beltways. We need to spend a weekend or a week in Frostburg, Maryland.
That would be great.
And
please, yeah, let me know when you're coming. I'll be happy to take you around and show you everything there is to do. That would be awesome.
We can tell them the mayor sent us.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how far you'll get with that.
I don't know if you for this one before your time. Ed Koch used to do the I Love New York campaign, and he would always say, "Tell them the mayor sent you." But also, so Frostburg, I know as mayor, getting more into the political stuff, I'm assuming you've got budgets and all that fun stuff you got to get to do and put that together for before I guess October. You guys need to have your budget submitted probably.
No, so October is the fiscal year for the federal government, but the state and then of course all of the I don't know about all, most of the municipalities and the subordinate governments under the state operate on a July 1 fiscal year. So we're already set for this year. But I mean, we're going to get started on it. So the city of Frostburg, as a municipal corporation, we operate on an annual budget of about $20 million, just a hair under $20 million, and we supply, pretty much every municipal service that you would expect from a town. I mean, we do water and sewer service, we do trash pickup, we have a full-time police department. What else? We have obviously, tax and utility stuff, street department that does, infrastructure repairs, keeps up with the paving and the sewer systems, plowing snow in the wintertime. That's a huge budget item. Obviously, we start to get snow.
Yeah, you get a lot more snow than we do, I think.
It snows early, the Chicago way, early and often is how we take an approach to snow in Frostburg. We usually see our first snowfall, our first measurable snowfall, I'm going to say around the end of October. Now, it might not stick around. It might still be warm enough that the snow would melt, but we usually get our first measurable snowfall around the end of October. And then it's not unusual at all to still be getting snow at the end of March into maybe the first week of April. That's not unusual at all to still have snow as a possibility.
Yeah, as one who did a campaign.
Is there a reason that your town has the name Frostburg? I was always curious growing up because, again, going to college, it was always Frostburg that had like the snow. Cumberland,
right? And that's,
may have some, but
the joke, right? Like, and we jump on that. I mean, the city kind of makes a play on that because our slogan for our economic development department is "It's just cooler here." Come visit Frostburg. It's just cooler here. But it's actually named after our founder. So in the year 1811, a couple named Meshik and Catherine Frost were traveling west on the national roads. The national road was the first infrastructure project that was approved by the U.S. government. It started in Cumberland and traveled west to Wheeling, which was then in Virginia. It's, of course, in West Virginia now. And there were actually plans to extend it all the way to Illinois. It didn't make it all the way there before funding ran out. Go figure. The federal government ran out of money for something. But the Frost family was traveling west on the national road, and they established a tavern house, a rest stop for travelers, which then eventually became known as Frostburg. So the original name of the town, when it was first settled back in the second decade of the 1800s, the original name of the town was Mount Pleasant. And it wasn't until the post office came through and established a post office in, 18 something, whatever, that the post office gave us the name Frostburg after the Frost family.
Wow.
Yeah, so tell us, you guys have a really nice leaf changing. That happens all in October, right? The leaves change colors.
Oh, it'll start before that. It'll probably start mid-September. I will say, because I know we're running out of time, I will say one of the probably the most immediate,
we've got time.
Probably the most immediate thing that we are facing right now, not just in Frostburg, but in Western Maryland generally, is we are in severe drought at this point. We have not had significant measurable rain west of Cumberland in 6 weeks, probably 7 weeks. Our main reservoir, which is called Piney Run, we have a big reservoir. It's technically located in Garrett County, but it's right across the line, and it's the city of Frostburg owns it and manages it. It's our municipal water supply. It is low, and the city just this week has asked residents to begin water conservation efforts. It's nothing that's mandatory. It's nothing that's enforceable. And we're certainly in no danger at all of running out of water. Piney Run Reservoir, when it's full, holds anywhere between 350 and 400 million gallons of water. And it supplies a big area. It supplies Frostburg and some of the smaller unincorporated areas that are around the town. I would say it's down maybe 20% at this point. So it's significant, and it's definitely something worth taking notice of. And we definitely need rain. I mean,
so I take it the rains that were earlier this week that fell on Hagerstown and Frederick, and someone missed Frostburg, I take it?
Well, we had rain. We had some rain. What's today? Today's Wednesday. We had some rain, I think, on Monday.
Yeah.
It certainly helped, but we need more. I mean, we're just, we need a good 4 or 5 day soaking, like a tropical storm to just park itself right on top of Allegheny County is really what we need. But again, I mean, we're not in danger in any way at all. And I'm certainly not trying to, inspire any kind of fear in folks. The city is not in danger of running out of water. We have other water sources besides Piney Run that we can get, and there's still hundreds of millions of gallons of water in the reservoir. But it's been something that people have brought to our attention, because some places at the reservoir, it's a popular place to go fishing and for recreational stuff. So people that are there say, oh my God, this whole section, the ground is exposed where there's usually water. Well, it's true, but when there is water there, it's only a foot deep, a foot and a half deep. So it looks pretty bad. And I'm not going to say it's not bad, but it's not a dire situation.
So, I mean, you also lost a lot of your residents probably on well water too, right? In Frostburg?
Not in town, no. Everyone in this city is on municipal water, and most of the immediate areas surrounding the town. There's some unincorporated communities. There's Mount Savage, Eckert, the town of Midland, some of the other areas around that Frostburg serves with municipal water. Outside of that, in the more rural areas, there are customers that are on wells, but no, that's not something that happens in town.
Yeah. So, tell us, basically, sounds like Frostburg has their act together with the budget. I think you guys, Governor Westmore, could take a lesson from you guys about balancing the budgets.
So, yeah, we are certainly in Frostburg. We are certainly proud of operating within our means. We have not had any kind of tax increases as far as property rates or water increase rates in quite some time. We certainly are. We have a very fiscally conservative staff. Our city administrator, our finance director, our other employees that help the mayor and council construct the annual budget, and to the credit, the mayor and council too. And previous mayors and councils in years past, the budget that we're operating under for this fiscal year was passed by the last administration. So my predecessor actually passed the budget for this year. But we're in excellent financial shape. We try to the degree possible to not service debt, meaning that whenever, say, we need a new police cruiser, or I don't know, the garbage truck needs repairs, or any kind of thing that you would borrow money for, the city tries in all ways possible to avoid debt servicing. We like to pay for things in cash. So
Mr. Mayor, I want you to go to Washington and enlighten some of the members of Congress, maybe even your own congressman right now.
America's congressman, Dwight. He's America's congressman. You ask him, he'll tell you that.
Well, he needs to go to Frostburg and take a lesson on spending and economics from you and your council, frankly. He could learn a thing or two.
Yeah, we're very proud that, and like I said, we've never, as far as I can remember, our town's never run a budget deficit. The only outstanding debt we have is about 5 years ago, they did a complete overhaul renovation of the police station, which we then, and in a cost saving measure. So we had City Hall in one building in the middle of town, and the police station was in a different building about 10 blocks away. So we consolidated. So we said they got a grant from somewhere to help pay for some of it, and the rest of it, we're going to completely renovate the police station building. But in so doing, we're closing the city hall building on this street and we're moving it together. So we're going to consolidate and make better use of our facilities. So we did take on a mortgage for that building, but that's the only outstanding debt that we have. And we try, like I said, we try like hell, anything we need to buy, not to borrow money for it. We pay in cash.
Do you guys use like municipal bonds for those kind of projects? Oh, you just kind of go into private investing firms, or
so okay. Yeah. So don't quote me on this, but I don't think that the renovation project that I just talked about, I don't think that was a bonded project. I think that was just a standard bank loan. I'm not positive about that, but no, to my knowledge, we don't have any outstanding bonds.
I'm just curious because it sounds like you guys would have a pretty good credit rating, and that would be a pretty safe investment for the citizens and constituents of your county to kind of invest into the public works.
Sure. Yeah, and like I said, if something comes up in the future, I'm not opposed to that in principle, but to my knowledge, we have no outstanding municipal bonds.
You're not going to bring you're not going to bring a bullet train to Frostburg?
You have to ask Elon Musk about that. I don't know.
Bring the Hyperloop.
Well, the Frostburg monorail.
That's right.
How actually, it's funny you mentioned monorail. The University of West Virginia, they actually have a monorail on campus.
Yeah, the PRT, it's awesome. I've been on it before.
You got in Detroit. I'm born and raised in Maryland, but lived in Michigan for about 20 years. You got the Detroit, people mover, which is the monorail, which is just a joke because it didn't really go anywhere, but it's still there apparently. So,
Did you say monorail?
Well, it's called the People Mover in Detroit, but yeah, it's a monorail that goes from like Cobol, which is like the big GM headquarters, just like I don't know, a couple blocks, and then it's not even like you take a bus faster than you take the monorail. But
it sounds like the Baltimore City Red Line that the taxpayers are going to be paying for.
Lovely.
He just described the Red Line in Baltimore City.
Yeah, the train to nowhere.
Yes, I know. In the current train they have, the light rail, the Baltimore light rail, it goes from nowhere to nowhere. It basically goes from Reisterstown all the way to Cockeysville. And there was a colorful former Baltimore County Councilman. It goes from nowhere to nowhere. It stops in it stops at the meth house, so they can go there and get their methadone in Timonium, and then go back into the city. And nobody. There he goes. The trains are always empty, and we're paying for it.
Jeez.
Well, I hated this in Maryland, but I've been to the Maryland Zoo in Baltimore, which was kind of scary to get there, and then it was like like maybe a 1 hour tour. Compare that to the Detroit Zoo, which is like an all day experience. Again, I mean, I'm a big fan of zoos. I love the the DC National Zoo is a great thing. I love in Baltimore they got the National Aquarium, which besides being super expensive is a great place to visit. But yeah, I don't know. The Maryland Zoo is just it should be like a petting zoo. They should just rename it. I think.
I remember we went to that zoo in the first grade, and I remember they had a 2-hump camel. Because usually you see the 1-hump camels.
Back a train, whatever.
Yeah.
I forget what the names of those are.
But speaking of touristy things, what are tell us the 5 things somebody wants to make a day trip or a weekend trip out to Frostburg.
So I don't know if this is the right URL, but I found this on by Googling. So is the frostburgcity.org Parks Rec city events?
Yeah, that's us. Yeah. So the city has about I don't know, 12 or 13 municipal parks. I probably should know that number. That's something that the mayor should know.
You've only been mayor for 2 weeks.
At least a dozen municipal parks. Probably the one that gets the greatest amount of use as far as events and things that people would want to attend is Hoffman Park, which is where we have a lot of our live music shows, a lot of our fundraisers. Matter of fact, we've got a great one coming up here on, this is the wrong month, here on September the 1st, Sunday, September the 1st, we've got the Western Maryland Craft Beverage Festival, which is going to be hosted at Hoffman Park. So a lot of your micro brews, your distillery places, definitely all local places, a lot of Maryland places, a couple West Virginia, southern Pennsylvania places. There'll be live music there. It's a big fundraiser event for the Allegheny County Animal Shelter. It's a great thing. Like it's a really fun, entertaining event to go to. I've already mentioned the Scenic Railroad, the Gap Trail, tons of events that happen at Frostburg State all the time. One of my I guess you could say near and dear to me because it's something that I participated in as a little kid and then sort of growing up always went to, and now I'm part of the group that puts it on. So every year on Independence Day on July 4th, the Frostburg Lodge, the Elks Lodge in Frostburg, the BPOE Elks Lodge in Frostburg, puts on an event that we call Derby Day. So it's a soapbox derby. Of course, Frostburg's nickname is the Mountain City, Maryland's Mountain City, because it's very hilly and it's very whatever. So our main street through town, US Route 40 Main Street, right in the center of town, has about a 120, 130 foot vertical climb right in the middle of our town. So every year on Independence Day, the Elks Lodge sponsors a soapbox derby race, and kids build their cars, and a lot of the businesses in town will sponsor them. You know, you pay however much money, and you get to put the name of your business on the side of the car, and it's an all-day
NASCAR.
It's kids NASCAR is what it is, and the whole town comes out. People sit on the lawn there at the Elks Lodge and watch the cars go by. A lot of the businesses that are on Main Street will host people like to watch their specific car, like, you know, the one LG's pizza place that I told you about, they'll sponsor a car. They'll have people like out on the front deck there watching them go by, cheering for them, and they'll have specials and whatever. It's a cool event, and all the, you know, the folks that belong to the Elks Lodge, I'm a member of the Elks Lodge, so I'm able to contribute to it in that sense now. It's just a cool event. It's probably my favorite event that happens in town every year, just because it's for kids and they have a great time, but everybody in town has a great time, and it's something it's just a tradition that we've had for, I don't know, 50 years in town. There is something to do all over the place. We've got people that are into arts and culture, that are into performance type stuff. We've got that. We've got sports. We've got music. Like I said, we've got outdoor stuff. We've got recreation. It's a great place. Frostburg is an awesome place to live.
Hey, tell us about God's Ark of Safety. I've heard about that. So is it in your city or is it outside the city?
It is technically outside the city limits, but it's close. So it started back in the 1970s, mid 1970s. There's a church with which it's associated, and I'm not positive of the name of the church right offhand, but I believe that the plan was it's a huge structure. It's a huge iron structure, and it's meant to sort of recreate Noah's Ark, and it'll be a building that they can then occupy, and that's what their church is going to be. That was the plan back in the 1970s. But through a series of events that included the minister of the church was actually killed in a horrific car accident that happened in town in the early 1980s, and just a series of financial setbacks. It hasn't really progressed anywhere in 30 some years. It just kind of sits there. And you see when you drive on 68 going west, like if you're going to Morgantown somewhere, you see it right beside the interstate, and it's kind of a comical thing. I mean, people.
So that's what that thing is. I've always wondered what that was. You know.
Oh yeah, it's meant to be. It's if and when it ever gets finished, it's meant to be a church building that they'll occupy, and it sort of recreates the Ark. But nothing's been done with it in decades, probably, because, like I said, the minister was actually killed in a terrible, terrible car accident that happened in town, and I think they had some other financial setbacks, and just the church has never pursued it at that time. So,
and another famous Frostburg citizen is George Bell.
He's part of that Bell family. I think he was sort of the Jeb Bush of the Bell family, if you will. So
yes, that's a perfect example, because you know what he did?
Yeah,
he brought down Vice President Agnew. And he brought down Vice President Agnew, and I'm like, George Bell. Yeah, he said Jeb Bush of the Bell family.
I think that's a good comparison. I think he's sort of the Jeb Bush of the Bell family. I mean, Dad was a senator, older brother was a senator, and he didn't do too bad. I mean, he was a U.S. attorney and had a good career. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, was it wrong, the governor having his hand in the cookie jar? But this is Maryland. Every governor had their hands in the proverbial cookie jar. This one just happened to just keep taking cookies when he moved on, But so it sounds like everybody watching and listening should go visit Frostburg this summer or in the fall, taste themselves.
Any
You know
time
what?
of year is a great time to visit Frostburg. I would absolutely encourage you to come.
And you guys are what, good 10 degrees cooler than we are here in the city?
Oh, at least, yeah.
Because I remember when I did a campaign out in upstate New York, none of the houses had air conditioning. People would like open up the basement doors and just put the fans and push the cold air from the basement up to the
Hmm.
top. And I was just amazed how cold those basements got. Yeah,
It's nice in the
yeah.
summer whenever it's 90 in DC and it's 78 here. I mean
Mhm.
that's definitely a nice benefit. It's not so nice in January when it's 30 in DC and it's 15 here. That's not as
And 3 feet of snow on the ground, right?
yeah. But no,
Yeah.
it has to do with elevation. I mean, our average elevation here in town is just a hair under 2,000 feet, 1,900 and some odd feet.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I know cell service is all because I remember when my first drive through Western Maryland, I noticed cell service is kind of spotty until actually, and you enlightened me on that because somebody told me that was actually the Cumberland Gap, the overlook off of 68, but you told me that is not the Cumberland Gap.
no, the Cumberland Gap is in
The
Virginia.
scenic overview. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what I thought. It's like, no. That's what it is. That's why they got the bridge going over there. And you see, that's just, I'm like, that doesn't even make sense to me, first of all. And obviously they dynamited through the mountain to put the road in. That's not a
Right.
natural. That's what it's not a natural, but, I'm glad, but I did tell my friend that he goes, oh, I guess I was wrong. You were so profuse about how I was wrong when I said no. He goes, why do you think Cumberland is so famous in Maryland? I thought they had so much industry in Cumberland, Maryland.
So help me out here too, because I'm familiar with Sidling Hill, and
Mhm.
every time I go through I-68, I pass through that area.
Mhm.
How's the gap compares? Like, what is that? Is that along the where is it? And like, is it worth seeing? And I don't know. Help me understand because I'd be curious to see it myself.
So Gap, are you talking about the Cumberland Gap that Dwight's talking
Yes.
about?
Right. Yeah.
So that's in Virginia. I don't think
Oh,
I've
okay.
ever actually been to the Cumberland Gap. Um, it's way down in the southwestern corner of Virginia. I guess where like Virginia and Tennessee border each other. It's somewhere down there. I don't think I've ever seen it. It's a mountain pass, just like you would think of any other one. It's pretty famous. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of the size or if an important event happened there. I think maybe Daniel Boone was from there or something like that.
Okay.
I can't speak to that, but
But this is
Sidling.
also
So we
Jeff.
sort of our colloquial term we use for Sidling Hill. People call it the cut because of the
Mm-hmm.
big slash. And you're right, Dwight. It was a dynamite blast so that they could put 68 through there. And we like just today, I went downstate. I had to downstate. I had to go to Elkridge to Brian Harlan's shop to pick up some Trump signs and things that we'd ordered for my county GOP. And I called. That's always the landmark of like where I remember to call home. So when I go through the cut, I call my
Mm-hmm.
wife and tell her, "Hey, I just came through the cut. I'll be home in 45 minutes."
Yeah, I know back in 2006, before the cut, self service was really bad.
Oh
It's
yeah.
gotten it's gotten much better. Like when we had the convention in Rocky Gap, it was great.
Mm-hmm.
But I know back in '06, '06 is a long time ago.
It's been a while.
Yeah, but yeah. So let me give you the last word, Mr. Mayor. Uh, Tell people about where can people learn about the city of Frostburg and the stuff. Do you guys have a website or something?
Yeah. So, like I said, come visit us anytime. Frostburg is a great place to visit and to come play. It's also a great place to live. If you're looking to get out of the city, we'd certainly be happy to have you here in Frostburg. Just search for us on the internet. It's frostburgcity.org. That's where you'll find the city's website as far as municipal government and information about things that the city government does. We have great, organizations that definitely put stuff out there. We've got an organization called Frostburg First that promotes a lot of events that happen in town. Of course, the university does a lot of promotion. So yeah, come see us 12 months out of the year. We're a great place.
And I'm assuming the fireworks look so much better on a less light polluted skyline, right?
Absolutely.
When you guys do a fireworks display, it's got to look much nicer than at the monument. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad, but I remember going to during campaign seasons, looking at the fireworks in places like Nebraska and Maine. They
Mm-hmm.
just look so much sharper and more
Oh,
vivid, you know, kind of
I
like they're
would
in high
think.
definition, but
I would think.
yeah. So Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And we'd love to have you on from time to time. We definitely will need to do a little road trip out there. Maybe do our other show from Frostburg.
Absolutely. Oh, if you do that other show out here, I definitely will be. I'll do a guest spot on that show for sure.
Okay, definitely. We'll work that out. We'll put something together on the calendar. Great. Good night, everyone. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you,
Thanks,
Mr.
Jeff.
Mayor.
Thanks, Dwight. I appreciate you having me on.
See everyone next week.
Okay.